All right, Shalom. Before I get started, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakah Kodash. Yahweh is the true name of the Heavenly Father, who the world ignorantly calls God. Bahashem means in the name in the ancient Paleo-Hebrew. And Yahweh Shai is the true name of the Lord, our Messiah, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. But his true name is Yahweh Shai. Before I get started, I want to give double honors to my apostles, to the bishops, to the elders of Great Millstone that rule well, which taught me this truth, who are the true leaders of Israel today, my teachers, and also peace, love, blessings, and salutations unto the elect of Israel. All right, Shalom. And yeah, that's what it's all about, Israel, man. Okay, the Israelites, you so-called Negroes, you so-called Latinos, you so-called Native Americans, you so-called Hispanics. We are the true biblical Hebrew Israelites. And we're in a time to where the Lord is bringing us back to our heritage, bringing us back to our remembrance of who we are. Okay. And right now, when it comes to you Israelites, we are currently serving a captivity under our fierce enemy, number one enemy, Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, the so-called white race. Okay. But the good news is this is our final captivity, right? This is our last time being in captivity. And we're in the transitioning period to where the Lord is taking down Esau from his heaven, from his rulership. And he's raising up Israel, okay, beginning with the elect. And by default, we're about to enter into the kingdom of Yahweh Shai, Yahweh Shai's kingdom, right? So right here, what I have pulled up is Isaiah 65:17. And you see in the subheading, it says new heavens and a new earth. Okay. And I'm going to start at verse 17. For behold, I create new heavens and a new earth, and the former shall not be remembered nor come into mind. Right. Because right now, well, first off, when you go into the word heaven, a lot of, Christians in the, in Christianity and so on and so forth. When you ask a Christian about heaven, they can't really give you a clear-cut answer of what heaven truly is. And heaven just means being in a lofty position, ultimately being on high. Okay, now you have the heavens, right? The sky, outer space. Okay, the spiritual realm where the Heavenly Father dwells. Right, you have the heavens. But heaven is also known as, a term that's used when you're in your rest. OK, and right now we're coming to the point to where we're about to enter into our rest. Right now, Esau, Edom is in his rest. That's why they can do what they want to do. Right. And nothing happens to them. Case in point, everybody knows about the situation with Rodney Hinton. And ultimately, you had these Edomite cops that unalived his son, and he had to see that shit, right? They shot him down in cold blood. He was running from them, but they said he had a gun, and he ended up not having a gun. And I've seen worse. I've seen, guys do way more than police officers as far as threatening them, and nothing happens, right? Speaking about Edomites, right? A lot of times when you see Edomites being threatening to police officers, they use the proper precautions, but they don't use deadly force. But that's not the case with Jake. But anyways, the guy Rodney Hinton, he pretty much retaliated, man. And ultimately, he ran over an Edomite police officer, not in connection to the ones that killed his son, I don't believe, but just out of vengeance. And you saw in the courtroom, they had like 30 police officers in there trying to intimidate him. And he didn't give a fuck. He looked them right in their face and was like, fuck y'all niggas. Yeah, eye for an eye, nigga. But that's the spirit that the Lord is raising up. But my point to bringing that out is, at the end of the day, whenever Esau does something, because they've been gunning Jake down, for that ain't nothing new, and they always get slaps on the wrist. They can get a GoFundMe, just like you had another incident where you had this Edomite cave bitch, this Edomite, wench, Edomite woman, pretty much is on the on video, calling Jake niggers and so on and so forth, and she got a GoFundMe for over $600,000. Right now, these Edomites, they didn't take down her GoFundMe, but when it came to Rodney Hinton, he had a GoFundMe and they took it down. So that shows you that Esau's he's in his heaven, right? They're not in trouble like other men. But the good news is they're at the end of their rulership, and ultimately they have a hard future ahead of them. Okay. Now it says, "For behold, I create new heavens and a new earth." So right now, the Lord is in the process of bringing in a new rulership, right? And it's going to be the rulership of Israel, the Israelites. Okay, we're about to rule. It says, "And the former shall not be remembered nor come into mind." Yeah, this current captivity that we're in is going to be soon forgotten, right? When you go to Job, the 20th chapter and the 5th verse, it says that the triumphing of the wicked. Now, according to Malachi 1:4, the wicked is Esau, Edom, the Edomites. Okay. It says that the triumphing of the wicked is short, and the joy of the hypocrite but for a moment, right? Because the Lord, he gave this devil his season to rule, right? And right now he's at the end of his season, his short season, right? Though his excellency mount up to the heavens and his head reach into the clouds, yet shall he perish forever like his own dung. They which have seen him shall say, "Where is he?" He shall fly away as a dream and shall not be found. Yea, he shall be chased away as a vision of the night. Basically going into his rulership is going to be soon forgotten, man. Okay, right now this devil, he's in his heaven, but soon it's about to be forgotten. Right? Isaiah 65 and 17, once again, "For behold, I create new heavens and a new earth, and the former shall not be remembered, nor come into mind." So soon his rulership, this devil, he's going to be forgotten, man. Okay, but "Be ye glad and rejoice forever in that which I create. For behold, I create Jerusalem a rejoicing, and her people a joy." Because the Lord is only for his people, man. "And I will rejoice in Jerusalem, and joy in my people. And the voice of weeping shall be no more heard in her, nor the voice of crying." Right? And that's all, since we've, came out of the 40 years of peace under King Solomon, we pretty much, been catching hell, man. A lot of, crying and weeping and mourning. But all of that is getting ready to come into an end. And we had to go through that because, we are up under the curses, right? First and foremost, we broke the covenant that the Lord made with us. When you go to Baruch 4:6, you were sold to the nations. So this is why we went into captivity. Okay, you were sold, and we haven't, and being up, being in this current captivity up under the so-called white man, this isn't our first time being in captivity, right? We've actually been in captivity under all the nations, but this is our final captivity. Okay. Now, what's the reason why we went into captivity? Baruch 4:6, "You were sold to the nations, not for your destruction, but because ye moved the Most High to wrath, you were delivered into the enemies," right? We transgressed the law, statutes, and commandments. We broke that covenant. Ultimately, we broke that contract that the Lord, we breached that contract that the Lord made with us, okay, giving us his law, statutes, and commandments. And we agreed to keep his law, statutes, and commandments. And if we were to go off, so to speak, or deviate from his law, statutes, and commandments, then punishment would have to come down. Now, the kicker is, by default, the Lord already designed it for us to go off anyways, right? With us being in this sinful flesh. But ultimately, it's all about Yahweh Shai getting his glory, right? Because through Yahweh Shai is how we're being brought back to the Heavenly Father. Okay? So it's all about Yahweh Shai getting his glory. It was never intended for us to keep the law, statutes, and commandments perfectly while we're in the flesh. Although we do try to the best of our abilities, we understand that we can't keep his laws, statutes, and commandments perfectly. But that's the new covenant, okay, which I'll grab that next. So we were sold unto our enemies because we transgressed, right? Now, let's see. Let's go here to the book of Hebrews, the 8th chapter, right? So the Lord is in the process of giving us a new covenant. Now, right now, we're in between the first covenant and the second covenant, or the new covenant, right? We're in this grace period. Now, the new covenant is when the Lord is going to allow us to perfectly keep his laws, statutes, and commandments, right? This is Hebrews chapter 8, verse 7. For if that first covenant had been faultless, then should no place have been sought for the second, right? If we was able to keep, the laws, statutes, and commandments, perfectly the first time, then there wouldn't be any need for this new covenant, this second covenant, okay? For finding fault with them, he saith, behold, the days come, saith the Lord, when I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah, all 12 tribes of Israel, right? This does not include any heathen nations, man, right? Now, with me saying that, this is not based on how someone looks, because we understand, which is a part of the curses, we have Israelites that scattered amongst the nations. So if your seed line goes back to being an Israelite, then the Lord is dealing with you, man. Okay, beginning with the elect, but ultimately all of Israel. So the Lord's going to make a new covenant with Israel and Judah, all 12 tribes. Not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day when I took them by the hand to lead them out of the land of Egypt, because they continued not in my covenant, and I regarded them not, saith the Lord. For this is the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel after those days, saith the Lord. I will put my laws into their mind. You see that? So the Lord is literally going to rewrite our spirits. Well, I should say, he's going to literally download his laws, statutes, and commandments into our spirits. Now, it says mind, but when you go into the word mind in the ancient Paleo Hebrew, that word mind goes back to the word lab, right, which means your spirit at the end of the day, man. Okay, so the Lord, also, let me say it like this. When you go into the word heart, right, in the ancient Paleo Hebrew, it goes into lab, meaning your mind or your spirit, okay? I kind of jumped the gun just a little bit. It says, and write them in your hearts. So the Lord is going to put his laws, statutes, and commandments into our spirits, meaning that we're going to be able to perfectly keep the laws 100% perfectly. Just as, if you think about second nature, when it comes to breathing, breathing is second nature. You don't got to think about it. You're just going to do it. Well, that's how easy it's going to be for us to keep the law, statutes, and commandments perfectly once the Lord raises us up, man, and ultimately give us those new bodies, right? And yes, the Lord is going to actually give us new bodies, because these bodies that we have are bodies, of sin, bodies of, these chains of darkness. Okay, let me grab that. Let me finish this off. It says, and I will be to them a God, and they shall be to me a people, right? Now, ultimately, let's see. Where is it? Bear with me. Okay, here we go. This is the 6th verse of the book of Jude, which the book of Jude only has one chapter. So this is the 6th verse of the book of Jude. And the angels which kept not their first estate. Now, this is talking about the sons of God. Okay, when you go to Genesis, the 6th chapter, right? It goes into the sons of God when they laid with the daughters of men. Now, you have a lot of these bugged out, Edomite Christians and Jake as well. But you have this bugged out group of people who love to go into, going into the whole account of Satan falling from heaven or getting kicked out of heaven and saying that he can play music. Y'all know the story. And going into the fallen angels and the Nephilim and saying that these are angels that came down to earth and had sex with women. And, ultimately going into, just a bugged out doctrine. And ultimately that's Esau trying to mix in his Greek mythology with the scriptures. But, that's bugged out. Ultimately, what this is going into, when it goes into the sons of God falling from heaven, ultimately we fell from our grace because we started marrying these heathen women and started following their customs, right? Getting with the heathen women, that's all right, okay? But then following after their gods and following after their religions, that's where the error comes in, right? Because the number one commandment is the Lord told us not to put any gods before him, right? That's commandment number one. So that's how we fell from our grace, okay? Just to put that out there, right? So ultimately, that's what it's going into. Now, we're going to actually, let me go back to Jude. Okay. So when it's going into the angels, or the so-called fallen angels, that's talking about us, the sons of God. Okay. And it says, and the angels which kept not their first estate, right? Being in that, back when we were, known as the sons of God, I didn't go into it, but when you go into, where it goes into giants, it's going into renowned men, that's ultimately going into the status that we had, and we were renowned for our, skill, right? We're going to get back to that estate, okay? Except this time we're going to be in a higher level. So it says in the angels, that's talking about the Israelites, okay, which kept not their first estate. Ultimately, when we fell from our grace, it says, but left their own habitation, he hath reserved in everlasting chains under darkness unto the judgment of the great day. So my point bringing this precept out is right now we're in these bodies of flesh, right? And they're known as chains of darkness because we're in bondage, man. Because at the end of the day, with us being in this flesh, we can't perfectly keep the law, statutes, and commandments of the Lord. Okay, so that's why the Lord's got to have a change take place, man. Right? When you go to the book of 1 Corinthians, the 15th chapter, and I'm gonna get to the point, it goes into us receiving new bodies. We're going to get extraterrestrial bodies, man. Just like when you see those Marvel characters and DC characters and superheroes and so on and so forth, that's how we're going to be. We're going to be like Superman. Okay, and our women are going to be, changed as well, man, because they got to, change has to take place in them as well so that they can even deal with the Israelite man. Okay, and we're going to have powers, man. See, what these Edomites don't realize, what these scoffing two-thirds don't realize, what these sold out guys amongst Israel, these guys that sold out, what they don't realize is that the Lord got, he's about to, show the world how special we truly are as a nation of people, right? When the Lord raises us up, we're going to truly be a beautified nation of kings and priests of gods, man. True royalty. Our women are going to be princesses, our children, princes and princesses, right? We're going to be truly beautified, man. And we're going to be, something we're going to be like something this world has never seen before. And we're close to that, man. Okay. 1 Corinthians 15 and 52. In a moment, in the twinkling of an eye at the last trump, for the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed. Right. So we're going to get those new bodies when the Lord is beaming up the elect on the fathership, man. That's when that change is going to take place. Now, we already read in Hebrews 8 and 10 how the Lord is going to, give us a new covenant where we're going to put his laws, statutes, and commandments into our spirits. And when he does that, guess what? we're going to live forever. It's going to make us immortal because we're never going to go off again. Okay. And ultimately, what's the reason to why the Lord has to put us to death and put us in captivity? Because we sin, we transgress. But if we're not sinning, if we're not transgressing, the Lord won't have a reason to put us to death. He won't have a reason to put us in captivity. So that's going to make us immortal, man. We're going to be gods. Like it says in Psalms 82:6, right? Ye are gods, right? Verse 53, for this corruptible must put on incorruption, and this mortal must put on immortality. So when this corruptible shall have put on incorruption, and this mortal shall have put on immortality, then shall be brought to pass the saying that is written, death is swallowed up in victory. So we're going to get the victory over death, man. We're going to be immortal. O death, where is thy sting? O grave, where is thy victory? The sting of death is sin, and the strength of sin is the law. So with us sinning, that's what makes it to where the Lord has to put us to death. But if we're not sinning, right, ultimately, sin is kind of like our kryptonite, right? But if we're not sinning, then that's going to ultimately lead us to immortality, man. So that's why the new covenant is so important, man. You see? But thanks be to the Most High, which giveth us the victory through our Lord Yahushua HaMashiach. Therefore, my beloved brethren, be ye steadfast, unmovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord, for as much ye know that your labor is not in vain in the Lord. Yeah, people see us on the highways and byways, and they think that we're wasting our time. They think that what we're doing, is vain, is silly, so on and so forth. But as the Lord says, he's about the foolishness of preaching. Let me see if I can grab that real quick, because I actually forgot the exact way that precept goes. Let me see. Bear with me. Let's see. 1 Corinthians 1:18. For the preaching of the cross is to them that perish foolishness, but unto us which are saved, it is the power of the Most High. Right? So people look at us and they think that what we're doing is vain. They think that we're wasting our time, and they think that with us being on the highways and byways, it looks foolish unto them. But that's because they don't believe. Okay, they're non-believers, man. Okay, and that's all right, because they're going to die in their unfaithfulness, as it says in 2 Esdras, the 15th chapter. Okay, but ultimately it may look foolish, but this is how ultimately this is what the Lord wants, and it's ultimately a stumbling block, man. It's a filtering system, because you'll have a lot of our people. They may want to listen, or they may want to learn, but they may be too ashamed or embarrassed, so on and so forth. But that's on them, and that's ultimately the Lord keeping them away from coming into the glory of Yahweh Shem Shai. You see, so that's all right if we look foolish, but we understand what it's going to lead to. Verse 19, for it is written, I will destroy the wisdom of the wise, and will bring to nothing the understanding of the prudent. Yeah, Esau's kingdom is done. The Edomite is done. Nobody's going to him for his so-called wisdom and so on and so forth. Everybody knows that he's overrated. Everybody knows that he's full of shit. And, he's being found out, man. So the Lord is confounding, these devils, man, their so-called wisdom with this truth, man. Okay. And also, niggas that want to follow behind Esau and they think they got some type of knowledge. The Lord is bringing all of that to naught, man. It says, where's the wise? Where's the scribe? Where's the disputer of this world? Have not the Most High made foolish the wisdom of this world? And whose word is this? The word of the Edomites. Okay, so all of the so-called wit and wisdom that they pushed out as wisdom, the Lord is confounding all of that bullshit, man. Right? These devils talk about a Big Bang theory. Then they talk about the whole, Darwinism and so on and so forth. Man, all of that is complete bullshit, man. And that's another thing that about Esau, man. Everything that he pushes as truth is nothing but a bunch of hypotheses and theories, man. Right? It's not facts. It's just what he thinks is to be facts, man. Okay, that's what they push is science and pseudoscience, right? Because first of all, the word science just means to know, and they're basically just pushing their theories as faith, Salakia, as facts, right? But at the end of the day, man, the Lord is destroying all of that, man. Okay, with His truth. For after that, in the wisdom of the Most High, the world by wisdom knew not the Most High. It pleased the Most High by the foolishness of preaching to save them that believe. So we understand with us going out to the highways and byways, and keeping our faith all the way into the end. That's how we're going to make it up out of here, man. You see? I'll keep reading. For the Jews require a sign, and the Greeks seek after wisdom. Jake in that, mindset, they want to follow the ways of Esau and follow the ways of the heathen and, follow their wisdom, right? Jake got to, see something physical. Right here it is. The prophets is on the highways and byways, giving them the warning of what's about to come. But they got to see, see physical signs. They don't have faith, right? They're in the mindset of these Edomites, man. That's how Esau thinks, man. When it comes to Jake, when it comes to us Israelites, we ain't supposed to think like that, man. We're supposed to be having faith in the Lord. And at one point in time, most Jake did. But now, Jake, you barely see that anymore, man. So that's how we're at the end. But we preach Yahweh Shai crucified until the Jews a stumbling block and until the Greeks foolishness. So Yahweh Shai is ultimately a stumbling block unto the non-believers, man. But that's that's pretty much what I wanted to go into. New rulership is coming into play, man. Okay, the Lord is getting ready to show the whole world who He is and who He's dealing with, man. Okay, I think that was in Isaiah 65, right? New heavens and a new earth. So new rulership is on the way. Okay, this devil is done. He's at the end of his heaven, and we're at the beginning of ours. And since I said that, it's only right if I pull out one of my favorite scriptures, 2nd Esdras chapter 6, verse 9. For Esau is the end of the world being a period of time or an eon, right? The end of an age. And that's where he's at, man. He's at the end of his time to rule, right? So with that, knowing that, we know that this devil is setting up something very evil. And ultimately, it's the Lord putting the spirit on this devil to set up, evil times, man. Right, Revelation 12:12. He's about to come down with that great wrath because he knows that his time is short. So, at the end of the day, when it comes to us true believers, we got to endure it. We got whatever comes our way, we got to endure it to the end. So not only with us being on the highways and byways, it's showing faith, but then we got to endure to the end as well, even unto death, man. And that's how we're going to get up out of here, man. It's very simple. It's easier said than done, of course, but hey, that's how we're going to get up out of here, man. So, and it's all about faith, man, having faith in Yahweh Shai Shai, even unto death, man. And that's truly showing faith, man, to give up your life, for something that shows the faith that you have in that particular thing. So how much more the truth, man? Okay. For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. Right, so we're about to enter into our rest, right? Isaiah 14:1, for the Lord Yahweh will have mercy on Jacob and will yet choose Israel, all 12 tribes of Israel, and set them in their own land, and the strangers shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob. Right, so, yeah, man. We're at that time, man. We're at that time to where the Lord is getting ready to take down these devils, right? Let's keep reading. And the people shall take them and bring them to their place, and the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord for servants and handmaids. Right, we're going to have servants, the heathen nations. They're going to serve us in the in our heaven, in the kingdom of Yahweh Shai Shai. They're going to serve us, and they shall take them captives, whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors. So yeah, at one point in time, all these nations, they had us in captivity, or they oppressed us. So hey, eye for an eye. We're gonna put them in captivity, and we're gonna oppress them. Right? Revelation 13 and 9 and 10. Let's grab that real quick. Revelation 13 And 10, he that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here's the faith, here's the patience and the faith of the saints, man. You see? So, hey, at the end of the day, they put us in captivity. It's only right that, and that's true justice. That's true reparations, man. Okay. So it's only right that we're going to put them in captivity. And it shall come to pass in the day that the Lord Yahweh shall give thee rest from thy sorrow, which that time is coming, and from thy fear, and from the hard bondage when thou was made to serve. So we're not going to be in captivity forever, man. Right? We're at the end of our captivity, you know. And this devil that's in power right now, these are the Edomites, man. These so-called white people, they're not Japhet. They're not Japhet, okay? Because Japhet is not even spoken about in end-time prophecy, but the Edomites are. And everything that this so-called white man is doing is adding up, linking them to being the Edomites, man. Okay? And it shall come to pass in the day that the Lord Yahweh shall give thee rest from thy sorrow, and from thy fear, and from the hard bondage when thou was made to serve, because we transgressed. Right? Like I brought out in Baruch 4:6. We transgressed the Lord by sacrificing in the idols, putting other gods before our power. That's always been Jake's problem, man. That thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon. And right now, the current king of Babylon is Nero Caesar, a.k.a. Donald Trump. He's the current king of Babylon. Babylon, we go into the word Babylon, is land of confusion. That's America, man. Okay, this place is full of confusion and lies, rape, robbery, murder. Okay, and it's about to fall. It says, and say, how hath the oppressor ceased? The golden city ceased, right? Because this place is about to come to naught. The Lord Yahweh have broken the staff of the wicked and the scepter of the rulers. He who smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke. He that ruled the nations in anger is persecuted, and none hindereth. Right? Everybody ready to see this devil fall, man. Okay, and this is the time for this devil to be taken down. Okay, the whole earth is at rest and is quiet. They break forth into singing. Yea, the fir trees rejoice at thee. Right, and that's another thing, man. You got these devils. They involve themselves in something called deforestation. They just go around cutting down trees and setting up shopping malls and shopping centers. Right, so the earth is catching hell under this devil, man. Everybody catching hell under this devil. You see? And at the end of the day, man, it's time for this nigga to be stopped, man. Okay? It says, saying, since thou art laid down, no fellow has come up against us. Hell from beneath is moved for thee to meet thee at thy coming. It stirreth up the dead for thee, even all the chief ones of the earth. It hath raised up from their thrones all the kings of the nations. All they shall speak and say unto thee, art thou also become weak as we? Art thou become like unto us? Yeah, all these nations, they got nuclear missiles. Nobody's taking America serious anymore. America ain't the big bad bully on the block. Even though, yeah, he still has a powerful military, right? But that's why all of these nations are going to collectively come together to shoot 200 million nuclear warheads upon America, Babylon the Great, man. Right? Even NATO. Okay, the beast's going to turn against the horde, man. Okay, you see how Trump, he's very pompous, very proud when he goes into these other countries, right? Even when amongst his allies, he's very proud, right? And everybody's fed up with America, man. And ultimately, that's the Lord getting ready to bring this place down. Okay. Thy pomp is brought down to the grave, yet thy pride is getting ready to be brought low. And the noise of thy vows, the worm is spread under thee, and the worms cover thee. Yeah, the worms represent decay. Okay. And ultimately, America is decaying. Right? The Lord is taking this, is destroying this place from the inside out, man. Okay. Because mainly the economy. Ultimately what drives a country is the economics, its economy. And this economy is about to be collapsed, all by design, by Esau, but ultimately designed by the Heavenly Father. And he's just using Esau. Okay. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer? And the word Lucifer just means light bearer. Okay, that's not the name of, the other name of Satan or the devil, or whatever these crazy Christians like to go into. But Lucifer just means light bearer, right? The true Luciferians would be us, right? The ones that have the true wisdom, knowledge, understanding, the true light. Okay, Yahweh Shai. Okay, it says son of the morning, right? Because also Yahweh Shai is known as what? The day star. Okay. How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations, right? And this devil, he's weakened all the nations, man, all the people, putting the hell on them, taxing the hell out of everybody, right? And with these other countries, if they don't play ball, they'll send economic hitmen to take down their country by collapsing their economy, so on and so forth. Well, the Lord getting ready to bring down Esau the same way, but it's going to be worse, right? For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of the Most High. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. This devil is over Israel, man. Israel is also known as the stars. And this devil, while he's in his lofty position, he's over us. Okay, and he's bragging and boasting. He's also got his Space Force and so on and so forth. So this devil, he's on high, right? It says, I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. And this devil, he suffers from a God complex. He wants to be like the Most High. That's why they're trying to surveil everything that everybody does, right? But ultimately, and they want to have complete control, but they'll never be the Most High. And the Lord is about to show them that they're just mortal men. You see? It says, I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit. So they're going to be brought low to the ground, man. So this is going to be the most epic fall in the history of humankind when the Lord takes down Esau, right? Now, before that, when the Lord took down Egypt and the Egyptians, when he took down Pharaoh and delivered us, Egypt was known as a great power. Okay, and the Lord showed his power when he took down ancient Egypt. So he's going to do the same thing when he takes down this modern day Egypt and this modern day Pharaoh, Esau Edom, the modern day Assyrian. Okay, when the Lord takes him down. And it's going to be epic, man. You see? Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit. They that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee and consider thee, saying, is this the man that made the earth to tremble, that did shake kingdoms? Yeah, man, they're going to look at this devil. He's going to be back in his natural state, being low, being like a brute beast, like a cave dweller, a caveman. And everybody's going to say, this nigga, he's the one that had the whole world afraid of him. Okay, dropping bombs and so on and so forth on these countries. This the nigga, right? This guy, like, really? But that's ultimately showing the power of the Lord too. That he can take the base of all men and raise them up on high. That's the power of the Lord, man. Okay. It says, that made the world as a wilderness and destroyed the cities thereof, that opened not the houses of his prisoners. All the kings of the nations, even all them, lie in glory. Everyone is in his own house. But thou art cast out of thy grave like an abominable branch, and as the raiment of those that are slain, thrust through with a sword, that go down to the stones of the pit as a carcass trodden under feet. Thou shalt not be joined with them in burial, because thou hast destroyed the land and slain thy people. The seed of the evildoers shall never be renowned, Salakia. Prepare slaughter for his children for the iniquity of their fathers. So the Lord is preparing for a great slaughter to put upon these Edomites, man. Okay, it says that they do not rise, nor possess the land, nor fill the face of the world with cities. Yeah, they ain't gonna rise this time, man. They had their, that moment where they fell for 1,000 years, then they came back during the Renaissance period. But this time, it ain't gonna be no rebirth. It ain't gonna be no Renaissance period. It ain't gonna be no great comeback. Like how they say, IUIC and Bishop Nate, when they go into that 1,000-year period where it goes into the elect reigning with Yahweh Shai for 1,000 years. That's just going to be a 1,000-year period of getting everything back in order. That's going to be a 1,000-year period that these devils and these heathen have to be in captivity under us. And at the end of that 1,000-year period, these devils are going to be rounded up and they're going to be burnt up, man. Okay. So ain't going to be no more rising for these devils again, man. All right. If I would rise up against them, saith the Lord Yahweh of hosts, and cut off from Babylon the name and remnant and son and nephew, saith the Lord Yahweh. Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. So the Lord is going to completely obliterate the whole seed line of the wicked, man, at the end of the day. But yeah, man, that's pretty much my lesson. Lord willing, this lesson was edifying, man. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakah HaKodash. Double honors to my apostles, to the bishops, to the elders of Great Millstone that rule well, which taught me this truth, who are the true leaders of Israel today. And also peace, love, blessings, and salutations unto the elect. Until next time, Shalom.